Hi, everyone, and welcome to the We're Boundaries to Selves podcast, the place to become more self expressed and healed. Because I believe that the more healed we are, the more we allow ourselves to express authentically and step into our purpose. I appreciate you so much for tuning in and for following me as I get to speak to amazing guests that have found ways to live from a place of purpose. So, thank you for taking the time to listen to their stories because I know how easy it is to get caught up in all the clickbait content out there. So thanks for being here and actually getting to know the person that you follow, the people behind the viral videos, or the 1 million views. Today's guest, Jack Jerry, is someone I deeply respect. He was winning national gymnastics championships. He had everything, but then he lost it all. He decided to move to LA to pursue his dreams, but when he got to LA, he realized it was going to take a lot more effort in this city to find his purpose, his uniqueness, and be successful. Today, Jack Jerry is a successful actor, model, social media content creator with millions of followers. So if you too are trying to reinvent yourself or learn how to turn adversity and pain into your power, then this episode is for you. I want to really unpack your whole reinvention process. And I say that because I feel like that's something that is like huge in your story. Like I was reading an interview you were giving and you said one of the worst moments in your life was
hmm
also one of the best moments in your life.
Yeah, I'm like, where did she get this information from?
I did my
Doing a little research, I
research.
see you. No, but it was. So I was a gymnast my whole life. I did NCAA gymnastics at the University of Michigan, and everybody from the outside, it was like, oh, this kid has everything. He's competing. He's winning national championships. I was somebody that never got injured. My whole career, I was like
Yeah.
very fortunate. Never got injured. Was always just doing my stuff. Was very consistent. Would always hit my routines and everything like that. And then when it came down to the one moment, I was running at the vault table that you like run at and you flip off of. And I ended up landing short, and I just like my ankle was shattered and everything. And I felt hopeless for the first time ever. I'm usually like, get up, walk it off, like everything's
Yeah.
fine. I was like, I can't get up. And
Yeah.
it was the first time I was like, I need someone to come pick me up.
Oh my
From that
gosh.
moment, I was like, okay, I can either look at this as the worst moment of my life, where my life is over, my whole career is over, everything in sports is over. Or to me, I wasn't actually enjoying competing in college that much, which was
Really?
something that nobody ever saw. I was just putting on the face of, oh, I love this. It's
Yeah.
great, because we all assume it's great.
Yeah.
But deep
Yeah.
down inside, there was so many either like mental struggles and just like so much that wasn't making me love the sport the way I used to. It was actually the moment for me to make a choice of what I want to do or choose
Interesting.
my next path. So
Okay.
that's why I say it was the best and worst moment of my life, because from everybody else, it's probably the worst moment of your life. And it
Mm-hmm.
did suck to get hurt and everything like that. But it was also the best because I finally get to choose what I want to do in life
Mm-hmm.
and make my next choice, not based off of what everybody else wants me to do.
So I always like to say we live forward, but we learn backwards. And what I mean by that is that when you're in that moment, you don't necessarily always understand what you're learning or what you're going through. And so I feel like in that moment, when you had that injury, like you were peaking, you were at the top of your game.
Mm-hmm.
You identified with the sport. You may have had those internal struggles, but you were probably also younger. So you kind of just it felt like that was the normal thing to experience.
Mm-hmm.
If I had been a fly on the wall, what would I've witnessed? Like you just broke it down so nicely and everything seems so linear, but I'm sure it
Mm-hmm.
was like way more messy
Yeah.
in that moment. Like how did you not only like heal yourself from a physical standpoint, but also from a psychological standpoint? Like
Yeah.
did you immediately have that dream, that vision for yourself? Like what did that internal process look like?
Well, I want to say too, it was hard throughout the whole thing. I felt like I was doing it for everybody else the whole time.
Wow.
Like I loved gymnastics. I got into it because I loved it. I was like studying it, watching YouTube videos. That's how I kind of taught myself too.
Really?
I was super dedicated, like really into it. And I think
Yeah.
it ended up, once I was ready to go to college, that was the next step. I was, in my mind, I was like, I don't want to go to college. I don't want to go to this specific university. Um, I
Wow.
don't want to do that. And like everybody else was like, you need to go, because I'm from Michigan. So they're like, you need to go to the University of Michigan. It's the main school. And I was like, I'm not going to Michigan.
Mhm.
where did I end up going? To the University of Michigan, because I let other people, whether it was my family or outside pressures, push me into thinking that's the right thing to do, or I didn't want
Yeah.
to disappoint them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
Oh
was
my
something I didn't do. I
God.
was like, I'll always just like be a good kid, like do what
Yeah.
everybody wants, not be hard to handle. Like, so I did that. I found other schools when I went on tours and stuff, and was like, I want to go to Iowa, or like I want to go to Penn State, but they're like, you're going to go to Michigan because you're from Michigan and that's the main school. So I think not having that choice was like, one, already starting off on a bad foot, was like, I don't even want to be here. So then I was like, you know what, go into it with a good mind. But once I got there too, it was a lot of change I wasn't used to, I think. Whether it was going to the school that I didn't want to go to, the change in environment too. Like, I grew up in a small town. So for me to go to this college, it was a huge college, very diverse. There's so many different people. It was like almost culture shock for a second too.
Huh.
And then we were training like in the morning, then school, train again, homework, sleep, start all over.
You didn't
every
even have
single
any
day.
time to like connect with yourself, basically. You were just like
No.
in this hamster wheel of do, go, go.
Yes.
And so it's like your whole connection to your intuition that may be whispering to you that you want to be doing other things. It's just like you just completely negate because there's no time.
and the sport becomes like a job too. It becomes very political because it's like, okay, who's gonna fight to make the lineup this week and compete this weekend? And
wow.
a lot of it would come down to where sometimes I was performing great or had the highest scores and they wouldn't put me in the lineup. And I'm like, that's so not fair.
Yeah.
So it became very political too. But it was something that was out of my control where I can't physically control this, and that bothers me too. I love to have a little bit of control in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. How did you regain control when you were going through that change? Like when your whole career had to pivot? Like what happened?
I think when it was at my lowest of being injured and sitting honestly at home, just sitting at home resting and like feeling like I couldn't do anything, which is one terrible for me because I'm somebody that's like I love to be active.
Restless.
So if you take me out, I'm just like I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
But I had a couple moments where I was just sitting there watching TV or on my iPad or something, and it was like I actually have a choice to do what I want to do because nobody can tell me to do something right now. So I think it empowered me to be like, this is what I want to do. I want to figure out what I want to do first off, and I get to make this choice now. And it's the first time I feel like it was my decision to move to Los Angeles and do something else besides just gymnastics and heal up and then go back into the same routine again. I was like, no, I want a different routine. I'm going to pick this.
I love that. Now I have like similar experiences where it's like everything that I did up until now was like literally because it was conforming to whatever I thought society wanted me to do. When I did start to choose my own path, I found that really hard. Like I was still asking for everyone's blessing.
Yeah.
If that
like
makes any
validation
sense.
from everybody else. Yeah.
It's like you don't even rely on yourself anymore. It's like what you feel is not good enough.
Yeah. And your successes, like it's only good if somebody else approves of it.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter how good you're doing, it's like, oh, but does so-and-so still like me? Or does so-and-so think I'm doing great?
Yeah.
And that's what validates you.
Yeah, exactly. To the point where I was running around in my, like I had gotten a good job after my master's degree, but I was running around and I was like essentially performing for everyone in my job, trying to be something to accommodate whatever I thought they wanted to see of me. Like it was so depleting. Come Tuesday evening, literally, I was just like drained.
Yeah.
Because it was like constantly putting on like all these masks. It was not just one mask. It was just like all of them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like so draining. And it was like an internal healing process for me to be like, no, like allowing yourself to do your thing is okay. And you don't need everyone's approval. You don't need that validation.
And you don't need to be successful right off the bat either.
Yeah, but that's so hard.
It is hard.
Like,
and especially too, I think with our mindsets too, we're also like, no matter what we go into, we're like, we have to be the best.
Yes.
Yeah. But success does not happen immediately.
Yeah.
No matter how much I want that and realize that it's not going to happen immediately, but it's definitely a struggle. I understand the mask thing too. Like I feel like I still have masks on today. But really? I think I have less masks than I used to. Yeah. If I had 10, now I have like maybe 2.
Yeah,
2
exactly. But I think that's a normal thing though and an okay thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not everyone is, I was talking to a friend about this the other day and I don't think that everyone is privy of like the most intimate part of ourselves, if that makes any sense. Because some people, I don't know, they just like, like your whole life is not to be shared with every single person.
Exactly.
I don't think. Yeah.
I think it's great to have things to yourself. Like I love to have personal things that are just for me, and then some for everybody, especially being a content creator. It's like everyone's like, put your whole life out there. They need to know everything.
Oh
And
my God. Yeah.
I feel like to my fans, like, love you guys, but I put as much as I can, but I think
Yeah.
I have a couple things that I love to keep to myself because
Yeah.
think I owe myself that, and it's
Yeah.
respecting myself and having boundaries.
You said that we're not successful from the get-go. Now, you were peaking when your life changed, right?
Mhm.
And you changed the trajectory and everything.
Yeah.
And then you went into content and you moved to LA and you did all these things, like a lot of new beginnings. And what I've noticed moving to LA, it attracts a lot of people who are really, really good at what they do from where they come from.
Mhm.
And so you're like in this melting pot, not only like a very diverse melting pot, but like high performing athletes in any domain that they're in. So the competition is really strong.
Yeah.
And
Everybody was at the top of their class from
yeah,
wherever spot they're from. They're at the top of
yeah.
their class, and they all moved to Los Angeles.
And what happened to me, and I'd be very curious to hear like if it was similar for you, but no one actually gives a shit about what you were before. Like you're
Yeah.
literally starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
Was that the same for you?
I definitely feel it. Like if I
Yeah.
stayed back in Michigan, I would be considered the talk of
Yeah.
the town, or like
Yeah.
I don't even want to say famous, but like
Yeah.
very successful. And it was like, oh, that's Jack. He's very
Yeah.
successful. But then you
Yeah.
come to LA, and it's like you're nobody.
Yeah.
Or like your success is actually like you're still beginner
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And there's people that's been working their whole life. I think to win in the LA market or LA world, once you do that, you've actually made it.
Yeah.
It's
I
great
fully
though,
agree.
because I think it's like training where you can become the best in your gym, in a
Mhm.
gymnastics gym or something.
Mhm.
But if you're training around people that are better than you,
Mhm.
your standard of success or level of expertise becomes automatically higher because
Yeah.
they're pushing you. So I think
Yeah.
with LA, everybody's pushing each other because we're all the greatest from our own town.
Yeah.
And even though it may seem like we feel like we're beginners still and everybody else is better than us, at the end of the day, we're putting in more work because the ones around
Yeah.
us are pushing us harder.
Yeah, I would agree. And there's still that need to be like you get here and you're just like, "Oh my God, I'm nobody." Like how do you number 1 not compare yourself and stay focused?
Mhm.
And number 2, how do you find that thing, that essence that makes you you that'll allow you to stand out, right? Because
Yeah.
like that's the hard part here. Is like everyone's doing a million things
Mhm.
and they're doing it really well or they have people that are helping them do it. Like the standing out factor becomes super important
Mhm.
and like staying focused and in your lane. Like what does that look like for you on a daily basis? Like how do you do that?
Yeah, on the first part, I'm still comparing myself to everybody. It's so hard. Like
Really?
scrolling
Yeah.
on like Instagram and social media
Yeah.
too. Like there's always gonna be somebody that's better than me.
Yeah.
And I realize that whether it's like looks or skill set, I think I've come to terms now with no matter what, there will always be somebody better than me. And even if I see somebody that I think is perfection, in my head, I tell myself there's somebody better than them. But I think it's healthy, and I think it's the way of how you think about it or phrase it in your head is what makes it healthy.
Interesting.
Because I think one, it pushes me to not only be better or like achieve something else when I see
Yeah.
somebody else doing it, instead of putting myself down of like, oh, you're worthless, you're not as good as them, you're not going to achieve this because they're 10 times better. I use it as motivation. I'm trying to think of the second question you asked.
In terms of like finding the essence of like who you are,
Of what
like
makes me unique.
yeah, like really understanding because it's like such like in my head, like coming from because I know what it feels like, right? When you're like the yes person to everyone and you're like, yes, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna please you, like I'm gonna be that good kid that does this thing, to like now everything that sets you apart is what makes you you and what will help you stand out. Like how would you go from the yes person to like I want to stand out? Like I'm
Yeah.
conscious of also that that's a lifelong process.
Yes.
But like maybe to say like what have you learned along the way, because you are very successful, you're very accomplished, and like how did you get to that understanding of who you are as a brand and marketing that for yourself? Like I
Yeah.
find that fascinating and
It's
you've done
hard to.
tremendous job.
There's so many things that like you keep going into stuff. I'm like, I want to talk about so many other things too, because you keep going like because even the comment, like you giving me a compliment right there, it's so hard for me to accept that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not successful, like I'm not at all.
No,
But thank
you
you for
are.
that. But like because I don't see myself as that, and that's like an ongoing mental thing.
Yeah, I feel that.
And it's I think saying yes to things too. Like I've been trying to say no to more. Like I'm really trying to be more blunt and working on that and being like, if I don't want to do this, don't do it, instead of saying yes all the time,
Yeah.
because I did that for
Yeah.
so long. It's still hard. It's a whole lifelong journey.
Mm-hmm.
But finding the one thing that sets me apart is, I think I'm still on that journey. Even in content creation, they're always like,
Hmm.
give yourself a niche, put yourself in a box.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've never been somebody that's been like, oh, this is what I do and that's it. And I'm just going to stay in my lane. I'm
Yeah.
always like, I want to do a little bit of this. I want to do a little bit of that, do a little of this. And in the content world, it's like, oh, you're never going to get anywhere unless you're so focused on this one thing, or work, unless you're so focused on one job and one specific thing. You have one thing to do in your life. Me, I'm like, I want to try it all. I want to
Yeah.
do
We're
everything.
multifaceted human beings. Like,
Yes.
what the
And
hell?
then, like, I think that's when I'm like, I can do more than one thing.
Yeah.
Like, why only do one when you could do 10? But then it's like, it does make it harder. I see, like, in my business of not having a niche. But at the end of the day, I don't think I really care. And I think
Really, I like that.
it was so hard for me to get to that point, I think, of
Yeah.
not caring, because I used to
Yeah.
care about so many things, whether it was
Yeah.
like my appearance, being perfect, saying yes to everybody, people pleasing. And now it's like the one thing that matters and like is my job. I don't care anymore. Or like I don't care to look perfect on camera all the time. Like I don't care. And I think I've seen the best results with that, because you're just being yourself.
Yeah.
And I think what makes me unique is like, yes, there's all these facets of like gymnastics or like hardworking, consistent, things like that. But it's like at the end of the day, I think we're all human and we just crave human connection. And me
Yeah.
just being me, my personality, I think will make me different or stand out. And a lot of people get stuck in imposter syndrome and stuff like that. Like I still have that, where I'm trying to
Same.
be other people.
Mhm.
And I think that's a long journey as well. But the more authentic you are to yourself, I think that's how you stand out, because everybody else looks like carbon copies of
Yeah.
everybody else.
Oh my God, there's so much of that online.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's an important step of the creative process of finding your purpose and your authenticity is also to try on different masks or different personalities, because then you're like, oh, this kind of fits. No, I'm just going to make it my own. I think that's a very that's where the whole copy with pride, I think, comes from, is like, that's okay. It's like part of the learning process.
Yeah.
I feel like we forget that life is about how much you learn and not necessarily the peaks that you climb.
And I always say, like, you never know until you try. Like, the whole reason I moved to Los Angeles was, why not? I didn't want to die saying, what if? I'm like,
Right.
if I move there and it doesn't work out, I'll go back home. And that's
Yeah.
okay. But I can say that I tried.
Yeah.
So a lot of my career, too, like, I was a hockey player my whole life. My
Oh,
dad,
really?
yeah, from the age of 3, my dad had me
Oh
on
my
skates.
God.
And then
Wow.
and I was really good. Like my dad had that all set up and everything. He's
Uh-huh.
like, you're gonna do great in hockey. You're gonna be on like nationals and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But at the age of 12, I was watching YouTube videos and I'm like, I want to do gymnastics. So I was
Yeah.
trying it in the backyard and I was like, what if I try this? And to my dad, it was like heartbreaking to stop hockey, but I was like, I want to try. And I feel like you have to try so many different things.
Yeah.
And it was a shock at first for him, but then after he started seeing some success too and like all the hard work, you're like, wow, I'm happy I tried this now and look how happy I am and my son is. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think by trying things, you get to see what you love, who you are as a person. You find out things that you didn't even know you enjoyed, or things about yourself you had no idea.
I think I do a really good job at trying a lot of different things out. Like that's just kind of like part of my personality. I think where I struggle the most is the patience to like that learning process to like figure it out. Like
Yeah.
if I'm like opening doors, I'm trying different things out, and then I'm like instantly like, okay, but this is where we're gonna be, and like chop chop.
Yeah. Do you walk in and feel like, if I'm not at the top already, like after a day, I'm
Yeah.
quitting?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I went to dance class, and that's why I, for a decade, did not dance.
Really?
Yes.
That's a long time.
Yes. I craved it so bad.
Uh-huh.
Like, and then I was in Kenya. And I was in Kenya, and this guy, he's like, so I was like supporting an NGO. I got like in this, like involved with this local NGO. And so I was helping him. And this guy who was like the husband of the NGO leader, he was like, so Helena, he was like, what'd you like? And I was like, oh, I love to dance. And like, I love to, like, I love working with customers. And I love, like, I was just telling him all the things like, oh, so you like to dance. So you like to shake a leg. So how do you shake a leg? And then I just realized, and I was like, all the things I was telling him that I love to do, like, I wasn't doing any of it in my life.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah. And then
it was out of fear of not being good enough?
Oh, 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I would be like, oh, if I go to the dance studio, I'm going to be like too old, or I'm going to be like not good enough. I'm going to look stupid. I'm going to get laughed at.
Mhm.
Like, because dance, like you fail so publicly,
Oh yeah.
you
It's
know?
embarrassing,
It's so
1,000%.
embarrassing. And you
Yeah.
never get it. Like, you're never going to look like the teacher either, because that's like, you just don't look like the teacher. So you're going to look like you doing the dance. And the more you're okay with that, the more okay with that imperfection, failing publicly and all the things, the more you can like bring yourself into it. But when I first started, I was just like I showed up to the studio after a decade of dancing or not dancing. I showed up to the studio 5 times and then went back home.
Oh my gosh. Okay, one, give you credit for going 5 times. Okay, that's better than one. I'll tell you
I was
that.
on my freaking bike.
Yeah.
It took me 30 minutes to get there too.
Okay, maybe that's why you stopped. Like the bike journey was hard enough. I'll tell you that.
So
But even, I mean,
embarrassing.
honestly, though, it's interesting to even hear you say, I know I'm not going to be like the teacher.
Yeah.
The original mindset, because I'm the same as you, where I'd be like, I need to look like them. The goal is
Exactly,
look like them,
100%.
look perfect.
Yes.
And they're the example that I need to be.
Yes.
And the second you realize everybody has their own style, you just got to hit the same moves they're hitting,
Yeah.
but you make it your own. And the second you know that is a huge moment, I think, where you realize I don't need to be perfect and I don't need to be like somebody else. I'm myself.
Yeah.
And just learn the dance moves, but it's my own perspective that makes it unique.
And you can only learn that by doing it, I feel.
Yeah.
Because when you go in, you're just like, I want to look like, because it's like, I mean, it's seductive, right? You're just like, oh
1,000%.
my God,
And
like
you start
how she
like
moves her
dressing like them
body.
too.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
All of the things. And you're like, why am I not looking like this?
Yes.
And then it's like this whole process of like, no, you got to like love yourself through this process. Like
Yeah.
I was like my biggest critic for the majority of my life.
Would you say you're still your biggest critic?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay, same.
Yeah.
I was like, if you
Yeah.
lost that, teach me how to get rid of that, because that is still in my mind every single day.
I really feel like the only way out is through, like literally. And that's why I feel like, and I'd be curious to hear your take on this, but I truly feel like my purpose in life is to face my fears.
Okay, this is crazy
Oh my
because
God.
I am on
So
that.
we have the same purpose?
We have the same purpose. I'm on that journey, but I always live by the mantra, like, you need to be uncomfortable to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And it
Wait.
scares me.
What does that mean?
Okay, so put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
To be comfortable. So if I'm scared to, say, go to a dance class,
Yeah.
but I want to do it, I want to dance, but I'm so scared to show up, and I get
Yeah.
nervous, and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I don't know, I have anxiety or something.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I need to put myself in that situation multiple times. So then when I do show up, I'm like, oh, I'm actually not nervous. I've done this 7 times already.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel, like, whether it's something scary that daunts me, like public speaking, or something random, I'm like, why? We only have this one life. Why am I so scared to do
Yeah.
these things? And it's holding myself back.
Yeah.
So put myself in uncomfortable situations and I'll become comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it makes you unique too, because I'm too scared to try so many different things, because I
Yeah.
love to be like, I'm good at this. I'm going to be the best at this,
Yes.
because I'm not going to be good at
Yes.
everything.
That's seriously
And sometimes
also,
it gets too scary and I'm like, all right, you just got to full send and do it.
Yes. When I was a teenager, my sister had like this crazy phase in her life where she was like, I just face every fear that I have. I go full in. I was just like, you're crazy.
Yeah. I
Like,
also love her for that, though. I need to be like her.
Yes. But I didn't understand it back then.
Mhm.
I was just like, why? Like, I am overwhelmed with my life as it is.
Yeah.
Like, with everything that's happening to me that I'm escaping. I don't know how you have the energy or the capacity to put yourself into new waters
Mhm.
to like where'd you get that energy from? When you are in full self-acceptance with yourself as you're learning and you're not demanding of yourself to be perfect while you're learning, that's when you can start to push yourself more into those new situations, because you're
Mhm.
not so hard on yourself. Because you're asking me if I'm still my like hardest critic.
Mhm.
It's like, yes, I am, but I need to consciously dial down that voice when I'm doing something new
Mhm.
and being like, it's okay if you do this. Like, we're learning. Like, I constantly need to be like reframing the situation for myself
Yeah.
and not being like, oh, you're going into dance class. You don't look like her. Oh my God, you're such a loser.
Mhm.
Like, that's like, no, but you know
Me,
what
what
I
I
mean?
say every single
Yeah,
time, still to this
literally,
day,
yes,
like-
all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think that
yeah.
ever goes away, but
Yeah, I don't think so either.
yeah.
But like, how do you coach yourself through new situations? Like, what does that conversation look like in your head?
Yeah, in my head, I think it's similar to what you're saying is like turning down that dial and realizing like what are my expectations? I need to stop having the bar set at the
Right.
highest degree or the highest bar because it's not realistic.
Yeah.
And for me in my head, I still get like nervous
Yeah.
when I try new things and I'm like
Yeah.
I'm scared of maybe failure too at the same time. I
Yeah.
don't want to fail or maybe the failure though is coming again from me wanting to please everybody else. Cause like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, who cares if I fail? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's just
Oh my
me I
God,
should
that's
be
so
worried about. But am
true.
I worried that everybody else is gonna see me fail? I think that's
100%.
what gets me more. I'm like,
Oh
everybody's
my
watching me right now. I'm
Yeah.
failing. This is
Everyone's
embarrassing.
gonna know. I can never like show my face again.
Yes. But I
Yeah.
think it is like realizing the perspective of, hey, this is something new. I shouldn't expect to be the best because I know that's what makes me go crazy. But maybe finding some little win in that, whether it is a dance class or something simple of like, I pointed my toes in that move, or like I
Yes.
got all the choreography down, like some
Yeah.
little win instead of being like, I don't need to get the whole thing. I
Yeah.
just need to get a little part. And that's a win today. And that's a step forward.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like I'm moving in the right direction of, oh, I'm becoming better instead of, oh, I'm terrible. Everything was bad today. I just didn't get it. And I think with that negativity, it really brings you down and then makes you
Yeah.
not want to try anything.
Have you felt yourself as you like consciously rewire your brain that you attract better things, bigger things into your life when you're in that state of like, I'm doing amazing versus I hate myself?
1000%.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of people around me think of me as this like bubbly, like outgoing, like nothing's ever wrong, positive person. And I
Oh my
am
God.
that.
Look
And
at
I
my
think
mirror.
I'm not gonna lie, like me though, just living that life, people say it's, oh, you're naive though. Like there's moments
Oh
where
my
you need to take it
God.
serious, or like you're not like there's not all about sunshine and rainbows every day, Jack. But I think by me having that perspective, so many things just randomly come to me because I feel like I'm manifesting good energy. I'm just
Yeah.
putting positivity out there. And
Yeah.
whether it's considered naive or like, oh, Jack is just not being deep or personal enough, it's just everything is so like fake and perfect. Like to me though, like I would still be vulnerable when I need to be vulnerable. You just have to get to know me.
Yeah.
But by me putting out that energy every day and realizing that like, oh, if I spilled my coffee, it's not the end of the world. Who
Yeah.
cares? Like
Yeah.
it I've seen so many things just happen for me, and my
Yeah.
answer is like they just happen or they show up in my
Yeah.
email, and I don't know whether that's manifesting or putting positive energy and you get it back. I
Yeah.
do believe there is something to that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. I do feel like when you are in alignment with what makes you unique and you embrace that, and that's when you're living from a place of strength, and that's
Mhm.
when you're, I don't know, just vibrating higher. Like, I
Yeah,
do think so. And then whatever's meant for you can actually find you. I do
yeah,
think so.
and it's hard because there's no answer to it. A lot of people be like, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
how is this happening for you and doing this?"
Yeah.
And you say like, "I don't know, it's just happening." They don't like that
Yeah.
answer because there's no
Right.
like A to B correlation of like if you do
Yeah.
this, you're gonna get this result.
Yeah.
Life really isn't that most of the time. It's like it'll just show up and that's how I know I'm on the right path. Or
Yeah.
like honestly, sometimes too, I'll
Same.
have like deja vu. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I think I'm on the right path now. And some people are like, if you
Damn.
have that,
Yeah.
it's the world telling you
Really?
like, okay, you're checkpoint. You've made it to the next spot. You're doing the
Yeah.
right thing.
I love that so much. Like Jay Shetty was just saying the other day, and I was like, oh my God, that's how I live my life. Like, or that's how I try to live my life.
Yeah.
He was saying like some kind of guru had told him, because he's like in touch with all the gurus. Like, I
Yeah.
want to be in touch with all the gurus too.
I've never been in touch with a guru, but
Like I want to be my own guru. Anyways, but he was like saying like in life you have to open so many doors and try to walk through them, and the ones where the doors keep opening, that's where you know you're on your path.
yeah.
And I was like adding to that, I'm thinking, well, you typically can feel it too.
Hmm.
Like you try things out, you don't really know, but then as they open and you progress and things just keep happening and you're like in your element, you're in your strength, you're operating from a place of excitement
Hmm.
and not like shame or something like that, or like, oh, I don't really know, hesitation, or I have to do this to be something else, then like you're, I don't know, like you just have more energy.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
definitely a feeling. It's something you can't describe. I
Yeah.
call it like the sixth sense too,
Huh. Yeah.
because that's the only way I can put it
Yeah.
into perspective. I just my brain can't fully understand why I feel things, or like I know when I'm doing something that's like I'm just doing this. I shouldn't really like be doing this, or it's not like something I want to be doing. I don't know why I'm doing it,
Yeah.
but I think it's like some outer energy source or something, whether it's God or whatever anybody believes in.
Yeah.
It's that telling you of like, try something else, or you are on the right path.
Yeah.
And I totally believe in that.
Yeah. And I feel like when we are, like, when we're not at war with ourselves and we're not fighting ourselves and we're allowing our true self expression,
Mhm.
like, to come out, like, I do think that the universe, like, to get spiritual, but like, the universe is like experiencing itself through us,
Mhm.
you know? And so it's like whatever us is or whatever who we are, for allowing that to fully be and to fully be seen,
Mhm.
which is really hard if we're like perfectionists, right?
Yeah.
Because we're always trying to be something other than us wholly, which is flaws and all,
Mhm.
you know, then that's where we can like, I don't know, that's when things happen and the right things like fall into place. I don't know,
Yeah.
like a piece of like a mosaic, like it's not all blue, it's like all of these different colors, but they
Yes.
all somehow perfectly align.
And at the end of life or whatever age you realize something, you'll see the whole picture, and it's every little piece was strategic and it had a
Yeah.
purpose. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's great to feel
Yeah.
negativity too. Like, you have to feel that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to have emotions, so you can't be like
Yeah.
totally just dead inside.
Yeah.
And I'm positive everything's great. Otherwise, you have no
Oh my God, I've
like
been
depth to
labeled
you.
that. Like a
Yeah.
friend, I went back to Switzerland and he was like, yeah, you know, you used to be so toxic positive. I was just like,
Oh,
what?
they're like too much positivity.
Excuse me. Yeah.
I'd be like, well, you're lucky. Like,
Yeah.
you get to be my presence, okay?
Like,
No,
yeah.
I'm bringing you positivity.
But he was like, no, what you do is like, when something happens, you're just like, oh, it's all going to be fine.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't lean into whether I didn't like the situation or not. I was just like, it's going to be fine.
Yeah. You're
Like,
showing
was
no
kind of
depth.
like,
And some people are like, oh, you're not really helping with the
ah,
situation, I think.
yeah, maybe.
Or they're like, oh, cool, you just like block it out
Yeah.
and nothing matters. Like, cool, but that's not what I
Maybe.
want to hear. I want to hear you connect with me and offer me some emotions that's not positive
You
sometimes.
think that's it? Yeah, because I was
Sometimes.
definitely not the person who would like show and you like, you just keep that to yourself. But I was definitely never the person to like admit when I had like a problem with something. I was always the person who would show up for others and
Yeah.
like, but I would never like, if I talked about certain problems, it's because I had already figured it out. I'd already had like a game plan.
Yeah.
But to like openly, like vulnerably say something to someone and be like, I actually don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Or I feel hopeless, like never. And
Mhm.
like that was just like death sentence. Like
Oh,
you
the
would
same exact
never
way.
see me. Yeah.
Yeah, like no, I can
Uh-uh.
figure everything out myself. I don't
Yeah.
need any help. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it myself. And it's crazy because I used to think that was the right thing to do, but I've
Yeah.
noticed like sharing a little bit more to some people or like getting a little deeper, asking for help. It's how you build relationships. And it's how
Yeah,
you
that's
connect
so
with people.
true.
Because I realized too that if you are perfect all day and you're doing anything yourself, I don't think anybody knows anything more about you besides the surface level.
Yeah.
And there's more to being human than just being surface level in your job and
Yeah.
everything else. It's about connecting on a deeper
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. But I was just like so preoccupied with being something. I don't
Oh yeah.
know.
I've
I
totally
just
been there.
like,
And I'm
yeah.
still there. I'm trying to figure that out at this moment in
Yeah.
life. And it's funny because a lot of my goals last year weren't even like, oh, I want to be in a commercial. I want to make this much money. I want to buy a house. It was all like, I want to like make quality friendships.
Sorry, I knew you were going to say that.
I'm like, she already knows my answer.
I was just like, I knew. You're like,
You're like, I
I'm
know
just
where he's going
inviting
with this.
quality people to this
Yeah.
party. I was like, what?
Yeah. I'm like, and it sounds whack though, of like, oh, I need to have some of that. But I'm like, yeah, quality friendships and like actual connections with people, because I feel like I haven't had a lot of deep connections with people because I was so surface level.
Yeah.
Everything's so perfect.
Yeah.
It's wild
Yeah.
to me.
And I just felt like super like not lonely because I was like a social butterfly in
Yeah.
like ways, but at the same time, I just felt like my friends don't even know me. They don't even understand me. And it's
1000%.
like, girl, you're not giving them the chance to.
Yeah, but you think it's
Like,
their problem. And
yeah.
I've always thought too, like, you can be friends with everybody, but at the end of the day, you have nobody because you're
Yeah.
being surface level with every single person.
Yeah.
I'd rather have 4, gosh forbid, 3 or 5 people that are
Yeah.
just quality and understand me and like know me on a deeper level than being
Yeah.
friends with everybody and feeling like I need to be doing something 24/7
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
pleasing everybody. I think it's people pleasing too, where I'm like, okay, this person's
Oh my
happy now. Let me go on to
God.
the next one. Let me go to this one.
Yeah.
I've pleased 20 people today. That's great. That I
Yeah.
pleased myself.
Yeah.
No, because I feel lonely. I feel down. And now I feel
Yeah.
sad. But why was I on a high for about the past 5 hours? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
putting myself out there so much and just learning these new situations of, again, being uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
and learning that, okay, this is what I don't like. This is what I like. And it's forcing me to learn more about myself. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, I feel like I didn't really know who I was, and I still don't know who I am.
Yeah.
But I have a better sense now of like, what do I like? What do I not like?
Yeah.
And like, what are my goals and what do I want to do? Because people would ask me those questions and I could give you some fake PR answer and smile all day. I had no idea and I actually didn't. And I really had to take some time to sit back and be like, what are my goals? Who am I? What do I care about?
Oh my God,
And
so
because
hard.
I was always like, oh, I care about everything. I care
Yeah.
about like
Yeah.
animals and the weather and
Yeah.
environment, everything.
Whoever's
Care
sitting
about
in front of me.
yeah,
Like, what do you like? I like that too.
exactly. And I think I was just honestly just copying whoever was sitting in front of me
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
being a yes man for them.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't know what I even liked or deeper things about my own self. And I was like, if I don't know anything about myself, nobody, number one, is going to know anything about me because I don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
So
Oh
I
my
think by putting myself in
God.
those situations, I've been slowly learning of like, let me learn about myself and then realize, okay, now this is what I can start to share with people. And these are little moments that'll create deeper connections because I'm giving you something valuable now. I'm not just giving you surface level.
Yeah. And it's also like if I'm showing you who I am and you don't like it, then that's fine. I
Yeah.
don't have to constantly run after this thing and maintain some kind of relationship because it looks good or something like that.
Exactly. And I
Like,
always used to think like I need everybody to like me. Like
yeah, oh,
nobody cannot like me.
100%.
But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, there's billions of people on this earth and
Yeah.
somebody's honestly, if people don't like you, that's a little weird. I think somebody should not like you.
Yeah.
I always say too in social media, it's like if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So
That's so interesting because I never saw that because I have maybe like a little bit of an arrogance issue sometimes, maybe. I don't know.
me being like, I understand this, but I'm not
Beca-
gonna call you out on that. I have the same problem, but it's okay. I'm like, you have the issue. I don't. Like I've
Let's talk
changed.
about your arrogance.
Yeah. You're messed up. I'm better.
But I would just be like, oh, I don't approve of you. I don't want you as a friend. And so therefore I felt like I was in my head, I was like, oh, how should I put this? I never considered myself someone who had to be liked by everyone because I didn't like everyone. If that makes
Okay.
any sense. Because I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, I'm the one who's dismissing.
Mhm.
And so I'll dismiss you first. And so you can't really dismiss me.
Okay.
But secretly, I do want everyone's approval.
Yeah.
But that was like, I was gaslighting myself. if
Yes.
that makes
And you
any
like the
sense.
control though. You're like, if I can
Yeah.
control like who likes me or make the move first, I won't get hurt.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
The older I get, I don't have time, the capacity, the emotional capacity it takes to maintain all this stuff.
Mhm.
And I want to focus my energy on here. And so I don't have time. I don't have the energy to give 150% to all of this fake other stuff. So if I let that kind of just fall to the waistline, then I can be more discerning. Like it allows me to be pouring into something that actually matters to me. But I
Yeah.
have to like feel that worthiness,
Mhm.
which doesn't come from that validation. It comes from like this internal kind of strength that I'm
Yeah.
like been building slowly over the years.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's almost masking it that you think, oh, I'm doing so much, but at the end of the day, you're actually
oh my
doing nothing
God,
because you're putting your
nothing.
time into nothing.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I have all these friends. I don't like them. Like,
Yeah, and then you end up being like, wait, I have no friends because I
Yeah.
actually don't like these people
Yeah.
or want them to be my friends. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. But it was also really hard because like in my early 20s, I also just realized that a lot of my friends, like they started listening to different music and so they started going out and doing all these things. So I was just like, oh, I kind of have to be part of this or do this thing so that I can even have these friendships. Like it
Yeah.
was not just me, it was also just like things were changing and I think I just struggled with the change.
Yeah. Well, it seems normal
Honestly.
to us, or it's society putting like, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So you should do it too. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
an outcast or
Yeah.
you're different and nobody's going to want to be your friend.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Yeah.
you're weird because for me it was like everyone is into electronical music and I was
Mhm.
just like I do not like
That's not my
electronical
thing either.
music. Yeah. But everyone was doing that and it was like the cool thing and then like and I was just like I don't care for it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I was active, I didn't like going out that much. Like I just had a completely different lifestyle and it felt really impossible to talk about that and to like own that. I
Yeah.
just felt like I was just completely gonna oust myself like in a
Yeah.
sense.
And it
Like,
comes into even us being where we're at today, right now, too. Like society has said, okay, you grow up, you go to middle school, high school, then you go to college, then you get married, then you have a house, then you have children.
oh
Like
my God.
there's this chronological order of like what is deemed right, and society puts that on us. So the second you veer off that path, you feel like, oh, I'm behind in life, or like I need to catch up,
Yeah.
or I'm doing something wrong. So by us even like moving to Los Angeles, doing what we want to do, even just sitting here today because we want to put our mindset and passion into this, it's different than what the norm is, but it's it's realizing that like none of that matters. It's just
Yeah.
societal fake pressures that were put
Yeah.
on us that we feel like we need to follow and we don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree. Is that like one of the questions that I had is in another interview you gave? Or
Come on, research.
yeah, I know. Like
I'm scared. I
I'm
need to
killing
Google
it.
myself. I
I'm
don't know.
killing it. I'm on your team. Don't worry about it. But you said the reason why you do content is to help to spread the message of positivity, that chasing your dreams is something that everyone should do.
Mhm.
Like, I love that so much. I think it's when I read that, I feel so liberated because I'm
Yeah.
just like, I feel like a lot of people choose the pain of being in mediocrity and safety
Mhm.
over the pain that comes from going out there, putting yourself out there, facing rejection. But like they're both painful. Like
Mhm.
when you live a life of mediocrity and you're always in the what ifs, as you were saying in the beginning,
Yeah.
versus, okay, I'm creating something for myself, which is like the pain, the growth pains that we feel. Is that the reason why you think everyone should go after their dreams? Or like, what does that mean to you?
It's interesting. One, I love that you think it's great too, because I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of people on the other side say it. It's like, oh, that's such a cliche answer to follow your dreams and live your passion. Just go for it. Shoot for the stars. They're like,
Yeah.
that's very cliche and you're giving nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but what I mean from it too is it may sound cliche, but I think from my whole journey of never getting to choose what I want to do, I was being that cliche saying of like, you know what? I'm going to follow my dreams. I'm going to do
Yeah.
it. And it sounds crazy, but like, so you got to sometimes just go for it and
Yeah.
everything will fall into place. Like when I moved to Los Angeles, everything fell into place. And that's how I knew I was in the right spot. And was
Yeah.
it scary? Again, it's going like being uncomfortable to become comfortable and putting that positivity out there. Things will fall into place. Things will happen. And it sounds cliche to say follow your dreams, but like, find that one thing that you love to do. And if you're doing the right thing in life, it will all fall into place.
Yeah.
And there is no answer to it.
And if it's not the right thing, it's you're taking the step into finding it because
Yeah.
like maybe another door opens and then you find that.
Yeah,
Like
and you would have never opened that door unless you tried
exactly.
something. You'd be stuck in
Exactly.
the same. I would be stuck in the same schedule, same rut, same like things I was doing in Michigan if I didn't move.
Yeah.
And it's comfortable to do that. And
Yeah.
it's scary to change something up, but I'm happy I changed everything. And I think having change in my life now makes me a better person, makes me more unique. I'm not just a carbon copy of like my environment that I grew up in.
Reaching the end of the conversation though, I do have like a few rapid fire questions
Go
for
for it.
you. They're very fun.
Oh, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Rapid fire.
So you have like keep it to under 30 seconds.
Okay.
What are you not apologizing for?
Oh, how good my hair looks.
How good your hair looks?
I'm like, okay, if I put the effort in today, it better look good. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm not apologizing for honestly anything because I don't think we need to. If I just set a good example every single day, I don't think I'm going to do something wrong where I need to apologize to own up at the same time. You need to apologize when you do something wrong. Because that was also the thing too. I never wanted to apologize for things because I was like, I'm not in the wrong. It's okay. Like you just don't get it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
learning
100%.
to apologize at the same time is such a huge thing.
Yeah. That
was
crazy.
more than 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
Establishing a new balance. You're totally fine. It was an interesting
There's a
answer.
balance. You don't apologize and then you apologize.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll keep it to 60 seconds.
You're like, we will make that longer. Only if I have a good answer. I'll give it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. I like cut all of Jack's parts out.
What's your favorite word?
Oh my gosh, my favorite word. That's a hard one.
I know.
I like never think of words. Like,
oh my god, I wouldn't even have an answer for you, to be very honest.
Yeah, you asked me these questions. You're like, I don't have an answer. I'm just gonna ask him that. Oh god. Word. Give me word. Oh my gosh. Actually, my favorite word. It's not a favorite word. I think it's just a favorite. I like the definition of the word organization. Because I think when your life is organized,
really?
Life is better. And I don't mean like organizing your pantry.
Yeah.
I mean, think of like organizing. One, you should do that. Make sure kitchen's clean. But I do think like, yeah, putting yourself and your experiences and what you do in life, keeping it organized, it helps change my life and make everything 10 times better. Mm-hmm. But I don't like that word. I just like the meaning of it.
Yeah. Oh, man, I wish I was more organized.
Wait, word. Give me a word. Like also any word in French just sounds great. The French have great accents. Chérie. Yep. Period. No idea what that means, but that was cool.
It means honey.
Oh.
Mon chéri.
It's my new favorite word.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that word. Okay, what turns you off?
When people are rude.
Yeah.
People are rude, whether it's like when you don't tip a waitress or waiter, like
Yeah.
I think you can see a lot about people.
Oh my
That's how it's like
gosh.
where I see my red flags.
Trick question.
Mhm.
Do you tip waiters when you get coffee and it's to go?
You know, I have a great, life can just, I'm going to give you an answer where I don't drink coffee. So that's my answer.
Passed.
But I think you
You
should always
passed.
tip.
You
It is-
passed.
Less is more on that one. Less is more. I don't drink coffee.
Turns you on.
Effort. I think it's hot when people put effort.
Yeah.
Whether it's like relationships or just life in general. I love to see people try. I don't care if you fail or if you
Yeah.
like succeed. I love when people try because I feel like a lot of people just don't try today. So they're not motivated. Motivation and
Yeah.
effort turns me on.
Damn.
Right?
Facts.
Hot.
Yeah.
Like,
There's something vulnerable about it too.
is. You're
He's like, I'm
willing-
so sorry I brought you these flowers. It's like, wait, what?
yeah, like don't be sorry. You tried. I
Yeah.
love that. Instead of if you didn't show up, if you showed up without flowers, it'd be like, you don't really care. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's okay. We're not going to talk about it.
Yeah,
Like,
we're not gonna talk about that. I'm like, that's a
yeah.
red flag. You're out.
Yeah. What sound do you love?
The sounds of waves crashing on the beach.
Oh.
I don't know if it's a little too deep,
No,
but
I love that.
I think it's the most relaxing and it puts me at peace.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I'm always very like, I contemplate everything in life when I'm at the beach. Like,
Yeah.
It's so soothing.
If it's not waves, it's Dua Lipa. But
Same thing.
same thing, right?
Profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I always think about this. If I wasn't a content creator, what would I want to do?
Uh-huh.
I would love to be on the news. I would love to be like,
Same.
I'm more like in front of the camera instead of behind it. So I just
Yeah.
love like being on broadcast, and it's kind of like
Oh my
social media, but I would
God.
love to be a news anchor.
I love that. If heaven exists, what would God say when you arrive?
Oh wow, you made it.
You made it.
I think he'd be like, "Yeah, I put you through a lot of tests,
Uh-huh.
but you didn't fall apart. You pushed through and you kept
Yeah.
going."
Yeah.
I would like to say I think he'd be proud.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Oh, of
like for being so
course.
honest.
I'm working on being honest and you're
Yeah.
helping. So
No, seriously. It's been great having you on here. Thank
I
you so
appreciate you.
much.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
yeah.